It was a warm summer day in London, one of those rare moments when the sun shone high in the sky, bathing the city in its golden light. The streets buzzed with activity, and the air carried the hum of life. I was on duty wearing full uniform, ready for another day of routine calls. My task that day was responding to non-emergency situations. Nothing out of the ordinary, just the usual neighborhood disputes or minor grievances that didn't warrant urgent response. Around midday, we received a seemingly straightforward phone call. A neighbor reported a foul odor emanating from the house next door. They described it as something foul and repulsive, worsening over the past few days. They couldn't bear it any longer. The stench had seeped through the walls, invading their home. The neighbor begged us to investigate. My partner and I drove to the address, a modest two-story house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The area was uneventful. Families lived there. People went about their daily lives, and days passed with predictable rhythms. As we approached the house, I noticed how ordinary it looked, with its well-tended gardens and freshly painted fence. There was no indication of anything amiss, at least from the outside. We knocked on the door, and it wasn't long before it opened. Standing at the door was a woman, perhaps in her early 40s. She looked a bit frail, with dark circles under her eyes and pale skin suggesting she hadn't slept well for days, maybe weeks. Despite this, she was polite, even warm, as she invited us in. Carrying a newborn baby swaddled in a blanket, the baby was eerily quiet, but I brushed off the unease gnawing at the back of my mind. "We've received a complaint about a strong odor coming from your home," I explained calmly. "Would it be all right if we took a look around?" She nodded, unmoving, then stepped aside to let us in. The moment we crossed the threshold, the smell hit us, foul, cloying. It was the kind of odor that churns your stomach, a smell unmistakably of decay. My partner and I exchanged glances, the same thought running through our minds. This wouldn't be a simple inspection. We began the search, systematically moving through the house. The woman followed us silently as we moved from room to room. We started in the kitchen, checking the fridge, the trash, and any place that might be the source of the smell. But there was nothing unusual. The odor was there, pervasive but elusive. It filled the air, thick and nauseating, but it was impossible to pinpoint. As we continued, we noticed something unnerving about the house. There were no signs of recent activity. The dishes in the sink were sparse. The dust on the furniture suggested some rooms hadn't been used in days, maybe weeks.